Hi, it's Chris Watkin here, and I'm joined by Jon Cooke, who is the CEO of eProp. eProp being the owners of the Guild, Fine & Country, Starberry, basically a lot of fingers and a lot of pies. Thanks for joining me today, Jon.
Good to see you.
Jon, you're a very well-known estate agent. You ran Your Move for a while. You set up your own estate agency in Hertfordshire, and now you're the CEO of eProp, which basically runs Fine & Country, the Guild, and a slew of exceptional prop tech suppliers. What I'd like to do is go back to 1988 and talk to you about your estate agency story, so the boys and girls out there in estate agency land can learn a little bit more about you. Is that okay?
Yeah, of course.
So Jon, 1988, what made you want to be an estate agent? Talk to me.
Actually, it's 1986.
All right.
Okay. Fun enough, I've got the original letter from the original company that I started with on my downstairs cloakroom wall. And I read it this morning, and it's 1986, and I was on £3,000 per annum.
Wow.
And it was a local company called Mullocks, who are still around in Bishop Stortford. Tony Mullocks was the owner then, and it's actually my auntie that got me the job.
Okay.
She was well connected locally. It's all about who you know. And she got me the job as a trainee. And why? Mainly because I enjoyed property and I enjoyed being out and about, really.
So how old were you in 1986?
Oh, that's a good question. 17. I think I started when I was 17.
So did you leave, had you just left school, 5th year or whatever it is called?
I did a year at what I joke with my children is Harlow University, but it's actually Harlow College, in business studies, and then went straight into
was it a one-year course, or did you just...
One-year course.
And what made you want to be an estate agent, or did you just kind of fall into it?
No, I didn't fall into it. My father was a builder and had built lots of properties and sort of a new property, and it was quite a cool thing to be in the 80s as well.
Yeah, I mean,
agent,
86,
so
86, 87, the property market was on fire.
Literally on fire,
It was,
yes.
Yeah, you boys and girls think that, you know, the last 12 months has been on fire. 87, 88 was really on fire.
Yeah, it was a good time to be around the property industry. It was a very localised business then. You know, it was in a local market town. There was lots of growth as well, lots of new developments. Yeah, it was a good time to be around.
Bishop Stortford, was it?
Yeah,
in
the
Hertfordshire.
business had 5 or 6 offices dotted around those locations. So I started literally as a trainee, and I can remember the day I started, there was a memo around the rest of the team, basically just saying, don't let this person in front of any customers, don't let this person answer the phone, because it was literally as a trainee. There wasn't really a lot of opportunities for trainees then, but as I say, it was a great start, and I thank the company that put me on the road, really.
Now, you became branch manager very quickly, didn't you?
Yes, I mean...
Or was it a valuer first?
Valuer first, so I literally used to turn up in the morning, morning meeting. We did have morning meeting, and then I'd be out all day, which is the bit I enjoyed, sitting on the sofa talking to the customers. And so I then moved pretty quickly to being, we were taken over then by Prudential Property Services, because I'm going to talk about during this series consolidation in our industry now, but there was actually quite a lot of consolidation going on then.
They had a massive checkbook, didn't they?
Yeah, they were at 800 offices at one point, and they bought our business, and that, for someone at my young age, gave me lots of opportunity because I was able to move my career on quite quickly, and I was the youngest office manager for Prudential Property Services at 18 or 19, I think, which you know, was pretty exciting times then. And actually, I then left that business and started up my own estate agency business when I was 21.
Let's come back to you being at Mullocks. What did you love about being an estate agent at that time?
Well, I think there was lots of learning. I enjoyed the being out and about, seeing customers, showing them property, understanding how deals were put together. It was a very fast-paced industry. You know, nothing stood still. We worked really hard. You know, we were working literally actually 7 days a week because we were open Sundays, obviously. And technology was very starting to come into the industry then.
What, you mean colour photographs?
Colour photographs, yeah.
Do you remember sticking them on the brochure?
Yeah, the photocopiers and all that sort of thing. But I also enjoyed, as a lister, as they called them, taking the instructions, how I presented the property. It was very important to make sure that I enjoyed the attention to detail of making that property look the best it could be.
Are you a bit of a perfectionist?
In certain things I am, yes, and certainly how the image of the property looked and how I presented the property was very key to the marketing.
If you don't mind me saying, you're not, in terms of your personality style and type, you're not a normal estate agent in the fact that I would classify more you as a hub as opposed to an outward going people. You are a people person, but you're a little bit more reserved. What do you put that one down to?
That's an interesting question. I think. Is there a typical estate agent?
Yeah, well, the typical estate agent is it's all about the deals. It's all about me. Look at my figures. It's you put a house on the market. If you lose it, it's the end of the world. It's like a dagger going through your heart.
I think what I did enjoy about estate agency and do still enjoy when I talk to estate agencies, there is a little bit of an element of, as a lister, of instant gratification. You talk to the customer, you put the house on the market, you're on the journey.
Yes.
And so whilst the figures end up speaking for themselves, if you listen to the customer and you deliver on what they require, then the figures will look after themselves.
Yes.
And often when in that listening to the customer, it's actually about they have a reason to move, and you can, as an agent, facilitate that and make that happen. That's what's most important to them. If you do that, the numbers will look after themselves.
I've spoken to people in the industry. I like to do my homework before. I mean, we've known each other now for over 15 years, but and the word is visionary. That's not the sort of tag that you would normally describe a good old job in valuer lister.
As in visionary?
That what most estate agents, and I'm talking about most valuers here, okay, estate agency works for them. They don't work for the vendor. It's all about getting the figures in. It's all about self-gratification. They're long-term. They consider long-term the size of their chain. I've known you, as I said, for 10 or 15 years. You are a very long-term, you are a big picture, macro sort of person. You're not a micro, I need the deal, otherwise I'm going to go home and get drunk.
No. Well, I suppose then that's followed my career really, because I've tended to look at the position that I was in and think slightly bigger. So it was very interesting through the Prudential Property Services days of seeing them consolidate the industry and make a lot of mistakes. And then unravel it, and it went back to more industry from an independent estate agency point of view. So I've seen some bigger picture things work, and I've seen some bigger picture things fail. And one of the perhaps main parts of my career is when I started my own estate agency in 21, it meant I could look at different ways of evolving that business and looking at estate agency as a business, not just as a career.
Mature. That's quite mature for a 31-year-old estate agent, let alone a 21. Where did you get that one from? Is that your parents?
My parents all ran their own businesses, some successfully and unsuccessfully, and you learn from both, don't you?
So you started your own agency in '92. Let's be frank, the property market between 1990, it wasn't pretty.
Yeah, I think it was pretty 91. I think what was the advantage there was that the housing market had tailed off because of, I think, the doubles tax relief as such. So we'd had a peak and then a trough. And so taking on commercial premises was easier. There was less cost to become agency. And I'd call that, I joined estate agency, what I would call the second wave of estate agency. And there's a lot of people in our industry that started their own businesses within the 90s. That sort of drove the second wave of estate agency.
Okay, and I know we're going to go this in a standalone video, but what was the first wave, just to give context to the people watching?
I won't take credit for this commentary on the industry, but Peter Knight often mentions the first wave, second wave, and third wave, and the first wave was probably more the sort of surveyors, the sort of tweed jacket brigade as such, and then the industry moved slightly into the second wave, and I think we'll talk about it later on. But I joined in that marketing drive. Which And probably that was at the sort of start of the internet as well, coming into the sector.
Yeah, I mean, so you started with a couple of business colleagues. Were you scared?
No, not in the
Surely you
slightest.
must have. I mean, what was it? Frustrations that made you start your own agency?
I think the opportunity was there. At the time, there was the consolidation that had happened hadn't worked. You had the likes of Cornerstone, Prudential Property
God, these are old
Services,
names.
Woolwich Property Services.
Wow.
A lot of the, I mean, going back, if a lot of the banks and building societies got in because it seemed to be the thing to do, and they were unravelling really. And so there was lots of opportunity to take market share. It was a very localised business, and the estate agency still is a local business. It was, to coin one of your phrases, it was quite easy to become your local mayor.
Yeah.
You know, you put 5 pages in the local paper and your leaflet dropped the town, and suddenly you were the local mayor. Slightly different nowadays, and we'll talk about that in the digitalisation of the industry. But from the perspective of a local agent, it was quite easy to get market share. I was very well known locally, and as I said earlier, you know, I cared about the customer, and you soon get recommended if that's the case.
Did you do it to earn more money?
No, it wasn't a money thing. No.
Because there's a lot, you know. Would you say that the motivation is doing a good job and being seen to be doing a good job and helping someone on their next?
I'm a great
career?
believer if you listen to the customers, you do the right thing, then money will follow, and in business as well.
Okay, so throughout the 90s, the property market was hard work, but you know, good agents would earn well. Did you grow it from one branch, or was it?
Yes, we grew to about 7 or 8 branches, and that changes the dynamics. You suddenly become more people manager. You have to you're responsible for people's livelihoods. It changes the dynamics slightly.
A lot of people say that going from one branch to 2 branches and the difficult third branch is if you can get past 3, you're doing okay.
Yeah.
What tips would you give to people in hindsight? Where did you go wrong on that
So
one?
nowadays, I'm not so sure it's all about dots on maps and branches, but there still has to be somewhere for people to work. I think the mistakes we made are we felt that we could replicate some of that we'd done in areas where we'd been ingrained in other locations just by turning up.
Yes.
And we needed to have a better plan as to how we were going to dominate markets. So you know, we made a lot of mistakes, but it's all about people and attracting the right talent within the location. And there's a massive problem across the industry with talent at the moment.
Definitely.
And it became pretty apparent that it was very much about the manager and the team within the office.
A lot of people have said to me that parachuting in someone from someone else into a new branch is quite difficult because they haven't got the ethos and of the firm. Would you agree with that and probably, you know, promote a mini-me from somewhere else into a new branch? Is that
I think so. So I think if you can recruit internally or bring people on with internally, understand your values, the direction of travel of the business, then it's going to be more successful than necessarily bringing the latest shiny person into the company. But we had examples of both, to be fair. So it's always good to promote within if you can.
So you'd grown your branches to 7 or 8 branches. Were you enjoying it? You said you were a people person?
Yeah, I think I was enjoying the challenge of running a business. We were members of the Guild of Property Professionals, so we were getting quite a lot of meetings together with other regional businesses around us.
Did you enjoy that, talking to like-minded people?
We all had, yes. I mean, we all had the same challenges. It can be quite lonely running a business, even if you've got a couple of business partners. So we shared ideas as part of a network, and that continues today. You know, sharing of ideas is part of what we do.
Now, in 2002, we've got you to blame for finding country, haven't we?
Yeah, there's quite an interesting story to that, and that was. It actually comes down to one listing, the start of Fine & Country.
Okay.
Shall I tell you the story?
Yes, please.
Okay, all right, okay. So I was at a listing of a it was one of the biggest houses in the town. Then it was about £500,000. I mean, we're talking a few years ago now, so it was actually quite a lot of money. And I was talking to the lady of the house about us marketing her home. Our brand was called Intercounty at the time, and we had 6 or 7 offices locally, and we're market leaders in our town. And this particular client had used me to buy investment properties and knew me well, and sort of said, "Yep, thanks very much for the valuation, John. We'll come back to you." I then phoned, as you do, and said, "Actually, I've got somebody who would be very interested in buying this house at that price. Could they come round?" And the lady of the house said, "Well, I'd like to talk to my husband this evening. Could we come back to you tomorrow?" Lo and behold, I got the phone call from the husband of the house the next day saying, "I'm really sorry, John. We trust you. We like you. We think you're the right person to deal with our investment properties, but your business doesn't have the right image to sell our £500,000 house. So we are going to go with X."
And this would be probably a £2 million house today, do you think?
At least.
2 or 3?
Yeah.
How did that make you feel?
Slightly frustrated. The reason being is that the particular agent that did list it, which let's categorize them without mentioning names, as one of said the landed gentry agents as such.
The upper quartile
Yeah,
agents.
they'd come into our town recently, and they actually ended up selling the property to the person that I had wanted to send round on that day. So they earned themselves, £7,000 or £8,000 or whatever it was then. So it was frustrating, but it actually made me realise that I needed to do something about it. So we created, and this was when the internet was coming into the sector.
Yeah, Rightmove had just started in 2000, so
yeah. So it was quite poignant, and we launched Fine and Country. We bought the URL Fine and Country, built out the website. It had virtual tours, which were new at the time. You could do commentary on the property over the website, and we launched Fine and Country as really saying to that customer, when I went round to them again, "You're turning left on the plane. We're going to give you a specialist bespoke service that is actually, the white glove treatment." And that worked incredibly well for us. We then started to network with a number of agents around us, putting our top premium properties together. So a number of colleagues in the industry in different geographical locations. And then we felt that this was working, the combination of the quality agent giving a bespoke, structured marketing plan to the client, and then we basically rolled it out across the UK in conjunction with the Guild of Property Professionals.
Because let's be honest, you've got to be pretty decent to be a guild agent. So you're almost selling like a license.
Yeah, I mean, I think not every Fine and Country agent is a guild agent, because it doesn't work for everybody. But yes, I mean, certainly the network is a very quality network.
Let's just literally just go down the rabbit hole of Fine and Country. You must be very proud of what it's achieved so far.
Yes, I mean, it was a really exciting journey to start with, because it was really bringing technology and marketing together at that stage in the form of the website. And this was very early days. I don't think even Prime Location had launched, or it was just about to launch. So we sort of looked at it as a competitor as such. So yeah, very excited, very pleased with how it's gone. I think there's probably in the last 18 months, it's really, and it's now, I think, just about to have its time internationally as well. So there's some quite exciting things on the horizon for Fine and Country. And we have got, what's been great about Fine and Country is it attracts brilliant people.
I mean, you've got the wonderful Jonathan Hanford and Damien Merry, who's not, he's
Bit of a character.
He's a character, bless him.
Yeah, bring some characters a bit,
But professional.
Professional, yeah. No, don't get me wrong. And what I like about it is we've started an associate program in a small way. We're not trying to, we don't want thousands of associates, but we want to work with like-minded quality people that want to run their own premium market business. And I'd look at this as saying it's a little bit about being an independent property advisor. So you'd be an independent financial advisor to someone, you're an independent property advisor, and you're basically just working with that person on their whole property needs.
Not only in what they sell, but what they're going to buy as well.
Buy their investment properties, everything, and you're able to be a trusted representative of their property. Does
it feel disappointing that some people almost buy a Fine and Country license and don't get it, and some do? That must hurt sometimes. Not hurt, or be disappointing. Because let's be honest,
Good question.
there's some exceptional, truly exceptional agents within the Fine and Country network, and we know damn well, and I'm not going to mention names, there are people who've just bought it because they don't want their competitors to have it and don't do much with it.
In any network, you get your top players and your bottom players, I presume, and we've got a new CEO that's joined us. Simon's come in, Knight Frank, and has got some very interesting ideas as to how he's going to deal with that. So I think there's lots of new and innovative
That's a good coup,
ideas.
if you don't mind me saying.
Yeah, he's a great guy. He's got a good team with Nikki as well. I mean, you know,
She's a star.
we've got a great team of people running that business, and I'm really personally very, very excited about the future of Fine and Country in the UK and internationally.
Well, be chuffed with it, because I tell you what, there aren't that many estate agents that I'm impressed with in terms of the way they market and portray themselves. But Fine and Country is certainly at the top there.
Thank you.
You know, in the past, you used to say you'd give Savills a run for your money. I think you're up there, if not sometimes, especially with those agents that are embracing the power of video. You're blowing these, I can mention these names, you can't. Your Knight Franks and Savills of this world out the water.
I mean, the good thing is that we're delivering on what we say to our clients. We're giving them a bespoke marketing service that hopefully achieves them what they want to achieve in their move.
Because that's what estate agency is about, isn't it? Just moving one person from one chapter of their life to the next.
It is. It's interesting. Often, you know, estate agent, it can be people can pitch a bag of features, but at the end of the day, it is someone has a reason to move, and you're there to help them do it.
Too right. So you got to the age of 34, 35, 36, and you decided to sell out or sell up to LSL.
Yes, I mean the business had moved on, and in terms of selling out, I'm not sure I'd quite classify it as that. I think what I realised is that
Were you getting bored?
no, what I was finding is that suddenly there was the ability to take investment into the business and grow in a different way. Yeah, and so what we did is we created a vehicle with LSL called LSLI, which was looking at offering exit route strategies to people that did want to sell.
Yeah, because if you don't mind me saying, you know, and I know you're not involved with LSL at the moment, but they are quite a forward-thinking firm in the fact is that how many estate agents chains buy a chain and homogenise them into the, you know, into the network with and rebrand them as the company brand. LSLI went out buying little mini chains and retaining the branding. You know,
yeah, that was very much the strategy, and also offering the business owners a route to exit over a period of time, but investing in their business, allowing them to acquire lettings books within their geography, and really taking advantage of some of the scale that is in the sector now.
Were you the first one to be bought out by LSL?
Yes, what we did is we created a entity by using our business as the first business, and then added other businesses in. And there's other examples of that happening across the industry.
So that's 2006. The property market's going along quite nicely. You were growing a network. I believe 60 branches, nine.
It wasn't there yet, but it was
getting that way.
Yep.
And then the credit crunch hit.
Yeah, that was a tough time. I think it was a tough time for everybody in our industry. If you look at the 2000s, the first part of it, the industry was motoring. Housing market was very strong. Buy-to-let had come in, so there was quite a lot of lettings activity as well. So it wasn't just sales. And then all of a sudden, the brakes turned up on the industry, and the credit crunch hit very quickly. And that was probably one of the toughest times of my career, because we had to make some pretty tough business decisions. And that often, when there's tough business decisions, they involve people. It becomes hard for everybody. What I would say is at that time we had LSL as our partner, as our investor, and they were very supportive. And we moved quite quickly out of it, and we were able then to make further acquisitions and grow quite quickly out of the financial crisis.
Did you have any sleepless nights or anything like that when you were having to make these decisions? You know, you were changing people's lives here. making people redundant. I mean, what tips would you give to people watching this? Because, you know, we're going into 2022. If the housing market doesn't kick on again, then there's going to have to be some wastage, awful word, but there could be, you know, there's not enough properties flying around at the moment to pay everyone's wages, is there?
Yeah, I think we're in a different market, and the economy's in a different place than it was back in 2008. But
simple houses, there aren't many houses being sold at the moment, and we earn our money from sales.
And lettings. So I think going back to 2008, there were some sleepless nights. As to be fair, over the last 18 months to 2 years, there has been, as we went into a global pandemic. I mean, you know, what was the business going to look like through that?
What did you learn from that that's helped you be a better person now?
From the well,
08, the 08. Well, let's do both. 08, when, you know, you had to make some difficult decisions and make people redundant, and then we'll come on to the COVID as well.
I think if I go back to 08, which is the first point, I can remember at a Fine and Country conference standing on a stage saying, I think we've sort of been in our comfort zone for a period. It's been sort of too good to be true. And then suddenly we had this shock of the financial crisis. I mean, we talked about some time ago now, but it's poignant because who knows what's around the corner. And it made us have to be better at running businesses, much better.
Yes.
Because you could sort of get away with just the whole pace of everything happening. Whereas as soon as the financial crisis came, we had to make some tough decisions, and you know, let's hope we're not having to make those sorts of decisions in the near to short-term future. But we were then able to really have to look at our businesses and I think run them better.
Do you think what you learned in 08, 09 made you in a better position to cope with what happened in COVID and lockdown?
Yes, absolutely, categorically.
Did you have any sleepless nights when COVID hit? And I'm not talking about the health issues, which go without saying.
I think as a leader of a business at any size, when we went into the first part of the pandemic, whether you're a one-man band or you're running the biggest industry in our sector, or the biggest business in our industry, you would have had some sleepless nights. You know, as leaders through the COVID period, you know, you had to really show leadership across the business, and there were some businesses I think that did some brilliant things, and some businesses that didn't.
In hindsight, would you have done anything differently
Coming through COVID?
Coming through COVID.
No, I think the team of people that I've got around me.
I mean, you have got some exceptional team.
Yeah,
I mean, looking at Guild, I mean, Ian Mackenzie's amazing.
Exactly. We gelled together. And it wasn't just us as a team. I can see this with other businesses as well. But you know, the leadership team gelled together, and Ian did a brilliant job across the Guild, and we really did deliver for our customers and kept the business on the straight and narrow, which is important.
I mean, you made some concessions with regard. My understanding is with regard to the subscriptions, which I know was very well received.
Yeah, I think we thought it through, but we came out quite quickly, and we were the first in business within our industry to demand that everyone supported the industry by a reduction.
Yes.
Within the first week, we offered a substantial reduction across our customer base, and challenged the other bigger businesses than ours to do it, and many of them followed suit. And I think that's probably one of our proudest moments, is that we were able to react so quickly. And you know, our relationship with our customers is better because of it, I think.
Well, I mean, I look at your numbers and your stats. You don't have that much churn, do you?
No, you know, touch wood, that we've got a very strong business, and we, you know, Ian particularly across the Guild, passionate about quality and service and standards. Fine and Country is a brilliant business growing, and then the recent businesses we brought in as we focus more on technology and the digitalisation of the industry are great businesses as well.
So you were running LSI, and then you actually then went to run your move itself. I mean, you know, if I was a betting man, I would have had you, you know, even for the chairman's job, by now.
I'm not sure about that. What I love about business is learning. Okay. Yeah, and you constantly learn, and you should be like a sponge. The more you learn, the more you can deliver. So, whilst I was running LSL, I was still a non-exec board member of Fine and Country in the Guild. So I never left that business, but I wasn't the CEO, and the original founder was still the CEO, so I was a board member. And yes, I ran Your Move for a period of time, and there's a great team of people there.
If you don't mind me saying, both Your Move up in Newcastle and the guys at Leighton Buzzard with Connell Sequence, both quietly competent, aren't they? They just get on with it. They don't wave the flags or their willies or anything like that. They just get on with it, don't they? And look at them.
Yeah.
Brilliant organisations.
Yeah, I mean, they've survived some consolidation, and they're very, very good businesses.
Very
and
switched
it's, if you look at the merger that happened during the pandemic of Countrywide and Connells, a great business. Connells has acquired a good business, and between the two of them, it will go from strength to strength, I'm sure.
2015, though, you left LSL.
Yes, I no particular reason. I just could see the potential across the core business, and went back into running the GPA.
Okay, so
stable
you're
of businesses
mid-40s. You're getting a bit bored running a estate agency?
No, not at all. No, I just think it felt the right thing to do in terms of, I'd founded Fine & Country, and I wanted to take it to the next stage, and wanted to also focus a little bit on I could see the
Do you like to
digitalisation
build,
process.
get something and take it on, and then almost when it's done, go and buy something else?
I think I like to see what's coming next and be part of what's coming next and drive the business in that direction.
This is the visionary thing we talked about.
Maybe, yeah. I think you've got to have a strategy for what you're bad at, or sorry, not so good at, let's say, in your career. So you know the bits you're good at, and the bits that you're not quite so good at, you need a strategy. And so I'm very clear that heads down operational might not be my strongest point, but you surround people with people that are good at that.
I mean, do you have like a coach or a mentor over the years that's, because self-awareness of these issues is the big problem, isn't it?
Yeah, I've met many a coach and spent time with coaches, yes, but it's not something that I do on a regular basis, just when I feel the need to.
So you went back to Fine & Country to basically run Fine & Country. Would that be a fair back in 15 then?
Yeah, and we had an interesting time in our industry as well, didn't we? Because there was this whole, is everything going to move online conversation? And that's had quite a big impact on various bits of the industry, including consolidation, which we'll talk about another time, but also the digitalisation.
Of course, which again we're going to talk about. But let's be honest. By which time eProp, which is backed up by the Tosca Fund, were they involved in this? You guys yet in 15, or was that 17?
17, really. They came into.
So basically, eProp had the top end, which was Fine & Country. You had the middle, which was obviously the Guild, and they obviously then decided to go and buy Easy Property.
Yeah.
Which I thought was quite a good choice, because at the time, that was where the business was going, wasn't it? You have to protect your clients, didn't you?
Yes, I think the industry was, I think at one stage, not too distant away, time away from that. Purple Bricks was a $1 billion market cap, and everyone's telling us the industry was going to go in this direction.
Hindsight is a beautiful thing, isn't it? And everyone can sit and say, well, I told you so. But at the time, everyone was Purple Bricks mad. That was where the market was going, and you covered yourself, and rightly so.
Yeah, I think our job as if we look at, one part of our business is the membership organisation. Our job's to protect our members and look after them and make sure that we supply them with what's needed. And at the time, there was a perceived online threat. I think we're going to talk about at some stage.
We're going to go down this rabbit hole.
Yeah.
I don't want to spend too much on this, because I'd like to go down that rabbit hole in the digitalisation video, which we'll do a separate video, boys and girls, for you to watch on my YouTube channel. So obviously, Easy Property came, Easy Property went. You still got the two core of the Guild and Fine & Country. But what made you start going to buy prop tech suppliers like Starberry, Property Jungle, Lepro? Because if you don't mind me saying, those are very, very clever purchases.
Yeah,
very clever.
Thank you.
Because you were CEO now, you were running the show, you were, the captain of the ship.
Well, I've got a great team of people around me, which is part of why we can do these sorts of things. And what I've seen in my days of acquiring estate agency businesses is part of the attraction and part of the upside is you bring talented people into the organisation. Yeah. And so in the last year, we've done 3 acquisitions in the prop tech space, and we brought some real great talent into the organisation, and we've got others to come, I'm sure. And I think as estate agency industry is consolidating, and we'll talk about that, I'm sure, in quite a big way, so will the prop tech industry. And if you look at the prop tech industry, there's probably 800 suppliers. I mean, if you speak to Simon Whale at Kerfuffle, he's probably got them all in his black book.
He's probably done a video on all of them as well.
There's 800 suppliers, but you could probably
80% of them are dross.
well, you could probably say
That's my words.
okay.
20% of them are amazing, though, aren't
Okay, so you could probably say goodbye to half of them because it's prop tech that doesn't affect the estate agency industry, like architects or warehouse distribution or whatever. Then you get to 400. But actually, the real third wave of agency, which we'll talk about, is the digitalisation of the process. And an example of that is yesterday I booked a flight, for myself and my wife. I booked the flight on the phone, I chose the seats, I decided what package I want, I could book the food on the phone. And then when the credit card went through, I went to my banking app, I did a facial recognition to accept it, and I'd done everything. Now our customers are doing that, and our future customers and our current customers are doing what I did Sunday morning at my breakfast bar in everything else they do in their life.
But not in the estate agency.
Not in the estate agency. And so what we've got to realise is that we are actually at the first stages of digitalisation of our industry. We aren't even anywhere near where it's going to go. No. And there's probably, as I've come across in this prop tech world, there's probably a handful of agents that are getting it, and are starting to realise that there's 7 or 8 bits of prop tech you need to wrap around your CRM to make it happen, where you can create a digital journey. It won't be for every customer, but it will be for the future, basically future protecting your business.
It's interesting. I've been talking to some people in the industry, and they say that the forward-thinking agents are the ones with your 5, 6, 7, 8 branches, that they're big enough. Why is that? Because there's a lot of one-man bands out there, and then you've obviously got the big boys. It's all about homogenisation, your corporates. Why are the most forward-thinking estate agents the ones with 5 to 7 branches?
Maybe they've got time to work on the business rather than in the business, and I think that's the advantage of where we are as an organisation. Is we've got the prop tech, we've also got the distribution. And the long tail distribution. So we can make sure that we protect our members by coming up with these innovations. They can decide to use them or not. But at the end of the day, this will be customer driven.
So your stuff like your Starberries, you're not just going to keep that for people who are in the guild. That can be for anyone. But by buying Starberry, you can, and because you've got your network, you can offer it to your clients. And if your client is a one-man band, they get the benefits of a big branch network.
Yes, and what it also allows us to do is invest much more in technology because we've got the distribution. So we still win on both sides.
I mean, what's Tosca Funds? Why are they doing this?
Well, Tosca Funds, an investor, and he wants to see our business grow, as you can imagine. And our part of the attraction of what we're doing is we're able to continue to offer a multiple of services.
They're not looking to sell on, they're looking to build something to become a cash cow, which, let's be honest, we're all in business to make money, aren't we?
Yeah, I mean, they're great supporters of us and want to see us to continue to grow. I mean, you've got to look at an agent spend, and more of it is going on technology. And one argument you've got in this process of digitalisation, which we will cover another time, is that the agents, I think, need to be spending on their own digital footprint, rather than relying on some of the aggregators, i.e. the portals as such. So there's a balance.
Yeah, because there's, your right moves of this world, you can soon spend £2,000-3,000 a month on the whiz-bang packages. Yeah. And let's not go down that route, because we don't want Miles Shipside shouting at us.
Well, there's lots of comments in the industry about pricing and right move, but because you asked me a question about when I started my estate agency business, and it is sometimes worth looking backwards, although it's a long time ago and does make me look very old, and sometimes I hate it. But I can honestly remember I was trying to work out whether I paid £280 a page or £320 a page in the local paper, but it was something like that.
What year was that?
Right, this would have been when I started. So this would have been.
Okay, so that's 88. That's 92.
Well, say 90s, early 90s.
Okay.
So just let me finish, right? So that we were having 4 to 5 pages a week. Okay. So you equate that.
Well, that's £1,000 a week.
At least.
Okay. Now, being a property statistician myself, inflation from the 1990s to today is running at about 60 to 70%.
Yeah.
So therefore, that's £1,600 a week.
Quite possibly. So I think where we've got to the advantage of.
So Rightmove at a couple of grand's cheap as chips. You heard it here first.
I think you've just got to look at it. It's about lead generation, and I think lead generation is key. The issue with the aggregators is that they give the leads to everybody. My argument is you need to also have a strategy around focusing your spend on your own digital presence to make sure the leads are yours.
So smart.
And be able to track those leads and the return on investment on those leads as well, because otherwise it's a black hole.
Such insight. Where's the future for you then, going forward? I know you're you're a non-executive directors for Lomond Group. They're on a buying spree at the moment, and iamproperty with the wonderful guys who are up in Newcastle.
Yeah, and one of the great things about my role over the years is I've bumped into some brilliant people, and Ben and Jamie at iamproperty, I'd put in that camp. They've built a brilliant business.
Oh, lovely people.
And
fun as well.
Yeah, that's they do the fun bit. That's growing and supplying agents of all size the online auction and compliance products. From my perspective, it's continuing to listen to our customer base, which is great because we have various forums that we can listen to our customers, whether within Starberry or customers or the Guild or Fine and Country, and making sure that we deliver on supplying products, particularly from a technology perspective. And I think where the industry is going is, I mentioned that 7 or 8 prop tech products, that there are examples of agents that are spending thousands of pounds on various bits of prop tech, that don't talk to each other. That isn't sustainable.
No.
Yeah. So there'll be some consolidation in prop tech, and then the products will need to talk to each other. And I think the end result will be that to really digitalise your business, you'll have a CRM system of your choice, 7 or 8 prop tech wrappers around it, and everything will talk to each other, and the customer, if they want to, will be able to interact on an app. That's the way it's gone in every other industry, so why won't it go in ours?
And that's what you as Jon Cooke wanted to drive forward with your being the boss man of eProp, to enable this so you can make a difference to people's lives, which is what you said at the start. That's why you love a estate agency.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's customer led. If that's what the customers want, and that's what they're getting in other parts of their life, then why should we not deliver it? And if we deliver that to our customers, i.e. our members, licensees and customers, then their businesses are going to improve. So it's an interesting space. As I said earlier, we're right at the start of digitalisation of our industry. Often we are a bit behind. We're just at the start of it now, and I think and businesses of all sizes will need to focus on this.
Jon, thank you for your time today. I'd like to do some separate videos about digitalisation, consolidation in the industry. But to conclude, thank you for your time today. You certainly are a fantastic thought leader in the industry. That's why I wanted to get you on this sofa, because if you don't mind me saying, you do keep your light under a bushel, if you don't pardon the pun. And I just wanted to share with the boys and girls out there in estate agency land, I've known you for 10 or 15 years, how good you are. And I know you don't take praise particularly well, so I don't expect you to say anything. But thank you for your time today, and I hope you have enjoyed what Jon has had to say.
Yeah. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you.